Okay, most leaders, they don't have a workload problem. And I wanted to do a video about this because it's rare that people come to me snowed under with tasks. But more often than not, they have a boundary problem. Okay, it seems that word comes up quite a lot now in my coaching. So I wanted to break that down today because it can have a material impact on performance and it leaks into all areas. Not just at work, in all areas of your life as well. Poor decision making, resentment, focusing on low leverage work, being emotionally reactive to stuff, and quietly, let's be honest, burning out as a result. So let's get specific with this because there are 5 boundaries, different types of boundaries that elite operators actually need. And the first one is an emotional boundary. Right, it's the skill of refusing to carry other people's baggage. And if you're a CEO, if you're a leader or an executive, this one is hypercritical because emotional boundary failure, if you like, it looks like this. You absorb the mood of the business or the room, or one frustrated exec derails your day, or you feel responsible for how everyone feels. You over-explain decisions just to keep the peace. Or you're constantly asking yourself, but how will such a body feel about this? It becomes an emotional shit show, which is not really optimal, let's be honest, in terms of leadership and performance. So high performers, in my experience, understand this inherently. You can hold space without carrying the weight of others. Your job is not to regulate other adults' emotions. Okay, clear emotional boundaries sound like this. I hear your frustration, but the decision stands anyway. You're allowed to feel like that, but we're moving forward anyway. Thanks for flagging that. Let's see how you feel next week. So no justification required, just clear separation. Okay, if you like that concept, so you feel as though you're in that space, there's an amazing book which is doing unbelievable numbers at the minute called The Courage to Be Disliked, which talks about emotional separation. Okay, the second boundary is a boundary around availability. So availability boundaries, just because you're capable of something doesn't mean that you're always available for everything. And this is where a lot of leaders get wrecked. Because it's really common because they're highly skilled. But once again, it's a performance killer. Teams or Slack messages at all hours, calls and meetings just for a quick catch up or a powwow. I think I have nightmares over that term. Team members outsourcing their thinking to you, or clients who just assume they've got access all areas. And then we use that term that completely disempowers us and keeps us stuck all the time. I keep getting dragged into things, which is not true. You keep making yourself available. If you don't protect your availability, your calendar will literally become your boss. Okay, the best operators decide when they're reachable, how they're contacted, what qualifies as being urgent. Okay, availability is in fact a strategic decision and it's a skill. It's not a personality trait that you're stuck with forever. And linked to this boundary is actually the next type of boundary, which is the third type, which is a time and energy boundary. Okay, so stop saying yes by default. If everything is a yes, nothing is therefore strategic, nothing is therefore on your terms. And the chances of it being directly linked to what you're trying to achieve is pretty slim. There's signs to look out for with this. I've wasted hours, days, maybe even more on these things over the years. Meetings with no agenda or outcome, late cancellations, chronic and consistent lateness from others or yourself, endless favors that are disguised as opportunities. Okay, honestly, since becoming a coach, I've had a stream of requests for vague meetings. No. Okay, high performers understand that time is not infinite and your energy is not easily renewable, just on demand. There is a lot of bullshit, excuse my French, around productivity systems, time hacks. But in actual fact, if you don't have a clear personal rule in place, what's the point? what gets your time, what doesn't, what gets deferred, what gets declined. Okay, politeness should be reserved and be used for when it's needed. It's not there to satisfy others. Sometimes the most polite thing to do is to say no. And that's where, that's what people don't realize. And anyway, the next boundary is where things get fun, because this is a mental boundary. And because you can't see it, we often forget about it. But I think in the modern world, it's more important than ever. And this is where you have to adopt this unwavering belief that you're allowed to think differently. Okay, strong leaders are often surrounded by loud opinions, confident advisors, knowledgeable investors, group thinking that is dressed up as a consensus. Someone in the business who's been there for years and has got inherent knowledge. Sometimes past performance presented as data sets in a really compelling way. So mental boundary or mental boundary failure can look like this, okay? Talking yourself out of your own knowledge and your own instincts. Talking yourself out of it, okay? Over-indexing on external validation. Avoiding any disagreement to stay aligned with others, okay? And ultimately being susceptible to too many projected beliefs from other people. Elite level performers and leaders require to drill this skill and use this muscle. I can hear you without adopting your view. And the ability to be comfortable in that disagreement is not disloyalty. Different values are not always a threat. And if you can't hold your own thinking under pressure and you can't make your own mind up, then someone else is going to do it for you. And good luck with that, because I've been there and it's not pretty. Okay, the final boundary is physical and personal boundaries to yourself. Okay, and this isn't about being soft. In fact, it's about having self-respect. Okay, boundary violations will happen all the time, and they might look like this, cancelling a workout or a training session because of a meeting, or ignoring the fact that you are fatigued and you normalize exhaustion. Accepting environments that just drain your energy and tolerating behavior that erodes your confidence. Okay, high performers listen to these signals early and they don't get to the stage where their body or their mind starts to shut down. Okay, this one is testing me almost in the inverse way at the moment. I've got a significant training block in front of me, but I've also got a calf niggle. So I'm having to be really disciplined with my boundaries around training. Otherwise, I'm going to make it 10 times worth. So with all this in mind, this subject of boundaries, it's really interesting, but it's really important to frame it. Boundaries are not negative things. They're not walls, and they're not offensive to others. They are personal standards that tell yourself and tell the world how you work, what you're prepared to tolerate, what you value, where your energy is going to go. And here's the bit that triggers people, and it's triggered me personally as well. If you don't set your boundaries deliberately, they will be set for you, usually by the loudest, the most neediest, or the most entitled person in the room. And I've been there before, and it's not a nice place to be. No thanks. As with all of this, I'm still working on it. But if this resonates, I've got a private community who get a weekly private letter from me. I'm going to put the link in the description. It's where the good stuff is. Until then, I'll see you in the next one.